The Warrens are back for one last rite. It's now 1986, their daughter's grown up and they've pretty much retired. But one final haunting drags them back to the Dance of the Dead. Hopefully this one turns out better than The Nun 2. Join us as we discuss The Conjuring Last Rites. Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter and joining me as always is Tim.
One of these days I'll remember to think of something clever for the intro. I always forget that, that's a thing we do.
The introduction to the show, you forget that's coming every time, do you? Also, I want to point out that before you said anything there, you giggled when I said Tim's here. Like not only were you not expecting it, you thought it was funny that I introduced you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Life is just one big joke, isn't it?
All right, Joker. Yes, welcome to the show, everyone. It's a horror movie podcast. We get together, we talk about a movie. It's that simple. And this week we are looking at The Conjuring Last Rites, the new release, the fourth in the mainline Conjuring series. I didn't count, but like the 10th or 11th or 12th in the overall Conjuring saga, if you count all the spin-offs.
I feel like it's 9 or 10. I want to say it gets a little iffy because I feel like sometimes they count La Llorona or whatever, and I feel like sometimes like some people don't or something, because it was supposed to be like part of the universe, and then I feel like they kind of backtracked on it a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah, and then somehow the director of that still ended up being given Conjuring 3 and 4 to direct, and I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
It must be cheap. Must be cheap. That's the expectation I have. Explanation. Well, I can't speak tonight, apparently. So yeah, Conjuring Last Rites is the fourth one. It's been billed as the final entry, at least in the Ed and Lorraine Warren kind of part of the set. The fact that it's making it's already made more than the last movie did in its entire run in its first weekend. So I suspect, I actually joked before I saw it, when I saw those numbers, I said, they're going to fast track The Conjuring The Next Generation. I said that joke before I saw the movie, and now that I've seen the movie, I'm like, I think they're actually going to do The Next Generation. I think that's actually where they're going with this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, when I heard Last Rites, I said, yeah, right.
Yes, Final Friday, my ass. Anyway, so
looking forward to Conjuring Rebirth or
whatever they call it.
Resurrections or I think you are into something with the Next Generation, so obviously we'll get into that.
Yeah, it seems like something they might be doing. So we'll start spoiler free, of course, as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we get into the spoilers. And of course, if you are enjoying the show on YouTube, please do hit the like button. If you're enjoying it via podcast, give us a 5-star rating on the podcast platform you're on. It helps us out a bunch if you do. And if you want to go further than that, you can support us financially over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV or via YouTube membership and get bonus stuff like even more streams where we do silly little segments and top fives and things like that. And there's bonus episodes as well. And we got one coming soon. A little German ditty that Tim picked out, I believe.
Okay.
I think the movie's German. We're doing for the bonus, is it not?
Oh, no.
No, it's not? Okay, never mind. Apparently I'm just making things up.
Off mic, let's make sure that you're watching the right one.
It wasn't like a weird hardcore porno? Okay, that's weird. I don't know how I stumbled into that. Anyway, yes.
I will say I did watch the movie we're doing, and your Patreon money will be well worth it if you want to listen to it.
Oh, Tim's got the big sell this week. All right. We'll get into Conjuring Last Rites. Obviously, we've talked about most of the previous movies. Bizarrely, not the third one, because that was when you were on paternity leave. But the franchise as a whole we've talked about a lot. Like, first one, good. Second one, I think arguably is maybe even a little bit more fun. Spin-offs range from mediocre to oh my god, this is abysmal, put me out of my misery, please. Looking at you, Curse of La Llorona and Nun 2, both of which were directed by Michael Chaves, who directed this movie we're about to talk about. So yes, hopes were in the gutter, shall we say, going into this. But hey, I went in with an open mind. You know, I do like the main two characters. It's hopeful this is a nice send off for them, and some fun is had. So, I mean, how were you feeling going into this? Like, were you psyched? Were you like, oh, this is going to be kind of a whimper, probably? What were you feeling?
So it's kind of interesting. I feel like this is a movie I kept forgetting was coming out this year, until, you know, maybe like the last couple of weeks when we started getting trailers and stuff. And I wasn't too excited again because, you know, the director haven't really liked, you know, his stuff previously. But I gotta admit, the trailer was kind of working on me. Like, it just looked like, you know, someone trying to do more Conjuring stuff. But, you know, like you said, the first two movies we were pretty favorable on. So I'm not completely against that. Now, what is kind of interesting is this past week, I did go back and like rewatch all just the mainline Conjuring stuff. I didn't do any of the spinoffs, but yeah, it's kind of interesting because we again, we had high scores for the first two, and I think I'd probably even put one, if not both of them, like on, you know, my top 100 list or whatever. But going back and rewatching them, I was having some trouble connecting with them. And I do think I'm starting to find it kind of hard to, I guess, separate the real life Warrens from the, you know, movie ones. 'Cause I feel like when, I mean, obviously, like, I don't want to get into all the controversy stuff, but I feel like over the last couple of years there's been like more stuff that's come out about them, and it's you know, has not been, you know, obviously it's not good. And I feel like before it was kind of like, oh, the thing was the, like, you know, they're scammers, and, you know, they just kind of try to sell this stuff to, you know, sell their books and whatnot, which I'm kind of fine with. It's like, all right, I mean, I never really thought all of this stuff actually happened anyway. So, I mean, if you're just trying to, you know, make up scary stories to sell books, like, I'm not, you know, that doesn't bother me that much. It's just that a lot of the stuff that's been coming out lately, and I say lately, it's probably like, you know, been the last couple of years or whatever, but it's been, you know, a lot more like, you know, gross and whatever. And I feel like it wouldn't be as big a deal if, you know, the characters were more secondary, like if they were just characters that show up in the movie or whatever. But going back and rewatching them, it's like the movie really wants you to think that these are like the greatest people in the world, and it definitely helps that they have very, you know, two very charismatic, you know, actors and everything. But, you know, it's not just so much that they're like, you know, demonologists or, you know, ghost hunters or, you know, whatever you want to call them, but it's just the fact that, like, oh, their love is so strong, and that, you know, they can like kick demon ass, and then, like, you know, if people tell them like, oh, you can't do this or go there, they're like, you know, like, screw you, and, you know, we're gonna do it, and our love is so pure and good and godly that we're gonna like save all these people, and we're gonna help people even if other people won't and stuff. And it's just like, if they were maybe just more normal people, I feel like maybe I wouldn't have as much a problem disassociating or whatever. But it's like, it feels like the movie is just really going over the top to make you think like these are just the greatest people in the world. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was. It's not like I couldn't watch the movies. It's just that, like, I didn't feel as engaged with them as I had been previously. Like, again, when we watched those first two movies, I was quite into them, and now just watching them is just more like, okay, I just feel like I'm not, you know, partaking as much as the film wants me to. And then the third one is just as bad, you know, as it was before. Yeah, that one always sucked, but. So I had kind of a weird mood going into this, and you know, I don't want to, like, you know, obviously, again, I don't want to like go into the stuff, and I don't, if there are people that, you know, these characters are really important to them and they're able to separate that stuff, I mean, that's totally fine. You know, that's I you know, not gonna discount anyone's like take or whatever, but for me, I don't know, it left more of a bad taste in my mouth than usual. So I don't know, it's kind of like a weird thing for me going into this one.
Yeah, I think it is weird because, like, I remember the second one especially, and I remember actually liking this about the second one, is that it really focused on those two as a pair of characters. where it really get into their marriage and their backstory and their romance and all that. And I remember them being kind of the heart of the movie, and it worked as a movie thing, as a movie script, as like two characters to rally around, which especially in a franchise like this, where the big strength going into this one, regardless of how bad I think the director is, my assumption was that these two actors, these two characters even, would carry it because I'd still care about those two. And I still did. And I think I didn't really have that much of a thing in my head of like even thinking about the real people, because they're not. These aren't the real people. This is
not at all.
Two fictitious characters that are, you know, what they are, and they're movie heroes, and that's completely fine. The only time I felt a bit weird about that in this case is at the end of the movie. This is not spoilers. This is just like after the movie's done, we get the text coming up because it's based on a true story saying, hey, this is what actually happened to these people, and here's some photos and old footage of the real couple and things like that. When it did that and the credits, I was kind of like, I don't know if like I want to really think about the real people in this case.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And they had like a weird line in the text, which again, this isn't really like a spoiler, but they do mention something where it said like, although, some may find, things controversial about them, we can still appreciate that they brought ghost hunting to the forefront of people's minds. Like something along that line. Like it felt like they were trying to acknowledge like, hey, we get it. There's maybe some not so great stuff out there, but hey, can't we agree that because of them we got these movies? Like, it's like all right, come on.
yeah, so it wasn't really an issue as I was watching the movie, but it did when they tried to do the, whenever they even float the phrase true story, because even at the start when the title comes up it says based on a true story, and I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. Yeah. Like, sure.
Well, we can talk about it in spoilers, but like I always get curious about this stuff, so I did look up like what actually happened in the true story, and it's just so funny how different it is than what happens in the movies. I'll save that for spoilers. But,
yeah. We'll get into that later. Anyway, we should probably get into some thoughts on the movie here. So, Tim, what did you think of The Conjuring Last Rites?
So it's funny. I feel like I just had like a whole bunch of negative buildup, but honestly, I gotta say, I don't think it was horrible. I think. I mean, I don't think it's great. I definitely don't think it's as good as the first two by a stretch. But I do think it is much better than the third one. Like the third one, I really have no desire to ever go back again. And then that one is especially kind of weird because, again, the true life story of that one like involves like someone that murders someone. And I feel like it's weird to have a movie about it be like, well, yeah, no, this murderer.
Yeah, the whole premise in a movie, it's fine. This idea that someone kills someone, but they're like, hey, the title is literally "The Devil Made Me Do It," and the Warrens are like basically trying to help this person who is innocent. But in the real world, someone's saying the devil made me kill someone. I'm giving you the side eye and thinking, I don't know. I think you might just have killed someone, and you're trying to get away with it.
Yeah, like I keep thinking, like I don't know, does the victim, do they have like any relatives or something that are like going to the movies and seeing that trailer and just being like, come on. Like,
I don't know. I've got a funny feeling it was a stronger reaction and come on. Whatever it was. True. If there's still living relatives, because I know that was a problem when was it Netflix did the Dahmer series or whatever it was, but there was relatives of victims complaining about how glorified all of it was, and like it's weird. It's weird when you have a movie about a killer or something where the victims still have very direct relatives who remember them. Like, it's one thing when it's like, okay, your great-great-grandfather was a victim of someone, but you never met that person. There's a bit of a disconnect. But when it's like, no, I actually remember spending time with this person who was brutally murdered, and now there's a movie about like the excitement of catching the killer, or whatever it is.
I don't know if I want to go into it, but my wife's
killed
parents,
someone.
They actually they actually had like some people they know that were killed by the Night Stalker. I think it was.
Whoa.
So it's always like a weird thing whenever I see like, when there's like a documentary or something that pops up about it, and it's just like, and I mean, I have a couple of degrees of separation from it. But it's just one of those things where I was thinking like, oh, like I hope they don't see this, or like I hope it doesn't bring back like any weird memories. So I don't know. That's the whole weird side of like true crime that I don't know if, a ton of people talk about. Like I understand why people have that fascination and stuff, but then it does seem like something that is weird if you're personally affected by it. Then seeing people get all horned up for it or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's funny because this is obviously more related to the third movie, but it's we went on this little tangent because of it. So I'll just then kind of finish up my thoughts though. I do feel like this movie, the director, it seems like it is just kind of doing a worse impression of like the first two Conjuring movies, but again, like I did like those at the time, so it's like I don't know. I guess I'm a bit more okay with it. And again, it's a step up from the first one, and going with low expectations, I'm like, oh, this, it I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily good, but I was kind of surprised that I'm like, all right, this isn't the worst thing in the world. I do kind of wish that again we're spending a lot of time with the Warrens in here, and again, it has charismatic leads and stuff, so some of that stuff I didn't mind, but there definitely were like stretches of it where I was like, can we please get back to the family, like the family that's experiencing the haunting and everything. Like it does kind of feel like a little bit of an afterthought in this, and I would have liked a little bit more with that stuff, but I'm not super enthusiastic, but again, I'm a little surprised I didn't like absolutely hate it or anything. Also, just to catch a little correction there, you said at one point this is a step up from the first. I'm pretty sure you meant third.
Oh, I meant yes. Yeah, sorry.
Just before the comments start coming for you. It's not terrible, right? That's I agree with that statement. It's kind of okay, and I think it's kind of a weird thing because I kind of agree that. Because like we're at this point in this franchise where the Warrens are the main characters, and they kind of always were to an extent, but if you go back to the first Conjuring, the movie starts with the family and it stays with the family until the Warrens come in as the people who can maybe deal with it, right? Yeah. They come in, kind of late. I mean, not that late, but they come in, a little bit into the movie, and they are these helpers where it feels like the family are, to an extent, feel more at the focus of the film, and then. Two kind of shifted it a little bit to be more of a balance between the two, and it was kind of 50-50 where it felt like the Warrens were getting a bit more time, a bit more characterization, personality, and then 3 was just a different movie because of the plot. At the very least I can say this about this one is that it feels like it is a Conjuring movie again, because it's a family with a haunted house and they need help, and the Warrens are going to come out of retirement to do one last case, like the Dark Knight Returns. They're going to the Warrens return. So I think there's conceptual things in this movie I quite like from a general plot idea. I think there's good things in it. I think there's some bad things in it. I did have a constant feeling that I wish someone better was directing it, because there's horror moments that I think are kind of lame, and I'm like, I think this is just down to the director. But there is some pacing and structural things where, because we care so much about the Warrens now, and when I say we, I mean both the audience and like the writers of the movie, because they're like, hey, we have to focus on their progression, and we've built these things up. The Warrens don't get involved in the actual horror part of this movie until like over an hour in. This movie's over 2 hours long, and so much of the first half of the movie with the Warrens is them in their personal life with their daughter, who's now like 22 or whatever she is, and they're all, it's set in 1986 and it's doing all this stuff, and it's all this personal stuff.
It's a good
year. Yeah, were you born that year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just tell by the way you said that.
In Pennsylvania, no less.
Which, yes, and the haunting part of this movie is set in Pennsylvania. Wait, weren't you born in Rhode Island, or you just moved there when you were young?
I moved there when I was like really young, so I was like, born in Pennsylvania, and then I moved there like we moved to Rhode Island like when I was 3. So
you have no memories of Pennsylvania, then, is what you're telling me?
I mean, well, I mean, we still had a lot of family there, so we would like visit every summer and stuff. So yeah, I still watching this movie and looking at those CGI steel mills in the background, I could be like, oh, that feels just like home.
That feels like like that being in the background every time we cut to a shot of the neighborhood and there's like this big steel mill in the background. I'm like, this feels like something out of a dystopian sci-fi movie with this big looming tower in the background just pumping steam out. And I was kind of thinking, this is kind of awesome to me because I like cyberpunk stuff, but it's probably horrible for anyone who actually cares about the view.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of funny because the first one does take place in Rhode Island. So I kind of have like these, which, I'd say I don't think it's super far from like where I live. But I mean, Rhode Island is such a small state, like everything's pretty close. But it's kind of funny. I just feel a little bit of a connection like to the first one and the last one here.
Yeah, I don't remember where the third one was set. The second one was in England, though.
Yeah.
So, no connections for me. Just for the because I'm Scottish, I'm not English. For anyone who starts cracking UK jokes, piss off. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's kind of an issue. Although I kind of also do understand why we want to spend more time with the Warrens now. I do think that I would have liked some more time with the family. I think especially in the third act, the family feel like they're just sort of put to the side, and it all becomes like what the Warrens and like all their characters are going through. And I thought that was a bit noticeable and strange and kind of weird because they did an okay job with the characters. Like as much as I think the direction's not that good in this movie, I think the characters are fine. Like, and I think the family that we meet. I think they did a good job early on establishing the relationship with the two teenage daughters who are kind of the focus rather than the parents in this case. And I thought that stuff was good. And I think that it felt kind of even in the first half of the movie, but by the time the Warrens actually get to the house and start doing their investigations and whatnot, it kind of feels like the family just go into the background. They're not important anymore because it's all about, the family connections to the horror and everything else.
Yeah, there's some, again, we gotta wait till spoilers, but there's like some story stuff that I really did not like, that especially like ramps up in that last third or so. And I definitely have like some questions about, I guess, like the demons and the artifact or whatever in this one. A lot of that stuff does just kind of feel like an afterthought though, where it just feels like we just kind of want to spend more time with like this family and see their daughter and stuff, which a little bit of that is fine, but I think it was too much, and then like you said, not really balanced enough with like the actual family that's experiencing the haunting and all that stuff.
Yeah, so there's some good in here, and the good mostly comes from characters and acting and stuff like that, and then the bad is, and I'm not saying there's no good horror scenes or bits, because there's a couple of okay little like ideas or moments they had, where because I think one of the most fun things about when The Conjuring is good, and this goes for a lot of horror movies, is when you realize they're setting up something that can be used in a scare later, right? The first example in this movie, there's like a long phone cord, and they set up a little thing, and you're like, oh, they're going to use that soon. In a few scenes time, we're going to get like a scary version of what just happened, and those things are fine and they're done fairly well. But anytime it just does the jump cut to like creepy face is staring at you, every time it did that, I was just kind of like groan, like very good.
I think they do the director, is it Michael Chaves? Is that the
yes?
Yeah, I think he actually did a pretty good job with the more simpler things, like you said, the phone thing. There's a bit with like a TV and a VCR that I thought was like pretty good.
I agree, because the reflection of the person's face on the screen the entire time I thought was quite good. That was quite creepy.
Yeah, so like stuff like that's kind of like smaller in scope. Actually, would say he did a good job. But like you said, when they're doing the bigger CGI things jumping out at you, kind of jump scare stuff, that's when it starts to feel like a bit more generic and just. All right, this really isn't doing anything for me. But yeah, it's actually not like, again with the third movie, there's just like barely anything about that really worked for me. But this, it's like, oh no, there are actually some like setups and set pieces that, yeah, like they didn't do a bad job with. So kudos to them, I suppose.
Well, I mean, James Wan does have a story by credit. I mean, he's not the only one. Like, but it seems at some point he had a little bit of input of like, hey, you know, we're wrapping up these characters that I helped build, so you know, he maybe helped a little bit with that. So I don't know. I mean, it's perfectly okay. You know, as far as like fourth movies in a horror franchise go, you could do worse. But it's kind of funny because I like the first two movies. But, you know, Conjuring came out relatively close to Insidious, which was also a James Wan, Patrick Wilson collaboration. And I always liked that more, just because I thought it was more playful and inventive, whereas Conjuring was like kind of a, like, down to basics, like, haunted house movie. And it's good. It is good at what it is, and it's got good moments, and I think Conjuring 2 is a lot of fun. But it is kind of funny to me that it's kind of blown up into the big mainstream hit that's making tons of money, and they're probably going to keep churning out more spin-offs and like next generation reboots and whatever else they're going to do because it's now the big cash cow. And there's something so wild to me about, you know, I think people sometimes when they hear me talk about certain franchises and which ones I don't like, they think that I have like a contrarian like reaction to things where I'm like, oh, I don't like the most popular thing. You don't like that
because it's popular.
Yeah, you don't like this. You like Star Wars because it's the most popular thing ever. You don't like this because but I do think
You're
it's
a
actually
Saw hater.
I mean, I don't think anyone's ever said that to me, but but I do think there is this weird thing where like the stuff that does become super mainstream and popular often is the stuff that I don't feel as passionate about. And I think there is a correlation there, but I don't think it's me reacting to it. I think this is an interesting case where Conjuring wasn't there yet, and I already felt that way about it, and now it's blowing up bigger and bigger as it goes along. It kind of feels like, no, the stuff that's more broad to appeal to everyone is the stuff that is inherently less interesting, at least to me. And, you know, that's fine, but I just think it's funny how this is, if anything, is getting bigger and bigger, and is probably going to be a franchise that keeps going now, like, because I think, you know, this was being billed as the last one, and it's not like, you know, the last spin-off or two were that like popular, but the success of this probably ensures that there's going to be at least another 3 or 4 movies in this universe.
So I forget, they had a spin-off movie with Kumail Nanjiani and Mandy Moore. I always forget though, was that an Insidious one or a Conjuring one? It hasn't like come out yet, but
right,
like,
okay.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't remember this movie. What are you talking about?
It's like something. Is it like Threads or something? Conjuring Tale or an Insidious Tale? Something.
I think that's Insidious. That sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if it's there. Yeah, Thread and Insidious Tale. Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, because I remember there's like some spin-off that like that. What's funny about the you know, with the Conjuring, I mean, I'm curious if they prioritize the spin-off ones as much. I mean, obviously we got like a, you know, shitload of Annabelle things, but remember like they had talked about a bunch of other spin-offs that ended up not coming out. Like I remember there's supposed to be a Crooked Man one from the second one, and then I feel like there was like 1 or 2 other ones that they talked about that ended up not going anywhere. And then, like you said, this one's making so much money. I wonder if they'll go back to any of those, or if they just like, all right, maybe we'll just focus on, you know, the mainline stuff now. But clearly, it's doing so well that you gotta imagine they're at least having the talks about it.
Yeah, I mean, I will be surprised that if you don't get Conjuring 5 in some form. Maybe not with these 2 leads, but in some form within 5 years, maybe even within 3 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious how well The Nun 2 did. Right, it was terrible, obviously, but did it make money? It made $270 million worldwide. So yeah, that's for a horror movie. That's so even the shitty spin-offs are making a lot of money. So yeah, they're going to keep pumping these things out. It's so funny. Like, I don't want to be too negative though, because here's the thing. Warner Brothers, which is behind this because New Line's Warner Brothers, they have made a lot of money this year from horror movies, and they've had like several hits in that realm. They've had Sinners, they've had Final Destination Bloodlines, and they had Weapons. So I'm going to give them a big fat pass here because, frankly, the fact that like this is their 4th horror success of the year, and it's the only one of the 4 that I don't think is, like, I think it's okay, but like the other 3 I think are good movies, right? And they're good for what they're trying to be. And I think they're all deserving of success. This one is the one that I think is the least deserving of success. But like, if they keep making all those other interesting horror movies, like I can't really be mad. Even if this is the soulless cash cow of the lot, at least it could be the soulless. I mean, I think the spin-offs are in soulless cash cow territory already.
I mean, the thing is, I'm not against the idea of doing the spin-offs. Like, I thought a lot of the ideas like sounded fun, and I think it's actually. I know everyone kind of groans about having, connected universes and stuff, but I think that is really fun if it's done well. The problem is none of the spin-offs were really done well. Like, obviously, if you want to make your whatever Crooked Man or what have you movie, another Nun, another Annabelle, like I'm fine if you're getting like interesting directors and doing something cool with it. It's just that all the movies ended up being so bland and forgettable that it just, like you said, makes it seem more soulless and pointless, I guess.
Yeah. I don't think they've announced like another Nun or another Annabelle yet, but it doesn't mean they're not going to.
Yeah.
Certainly would be surprised if they end up doing that. So, yeah, I mean, we're kind of in this weird place where Conjuring's kind of this big mainstream hit, and it's like, I don't want to sound like elitist or like hipstery and be like, oh, this is for the casuals now, and the real horror is like over here. But it does, I do have a bit of a feeling of that where I'm like, yeah, this is the kind of the safe, because, I went to see this during the day, and there was still a reasonable amount of people who were there,
I saw it 10 o'clock at night, and there was like a 9 o'clock showing. I went on the Friday it came out, so obviously that was going to be a bit more crowded, but usually like the for new movie releases, like they'll have like 3 or 4 or whatever at the theater, and then I'll try to find the one around the times I'm looking at that seems to be like the less filled or whatever, and these were all like pretty packed, like even the one after like 10:30 or whatever was like filling up pretty much. So I mean, I wasn't like surprised or anything by it, but I feel like this was one of the first movies we've seen lately that it was pretty filled up. And I might have talked about this before. I mean, maybe you don't notice as much if you go into the movies during the day, but I usually tend to go like later at night. Like usually, if I can make like a 9-ish showing, that's perfect. 10 or 10:30 though, I feel like is usually when I end up going, and people are just like straight up bringing like blankets and pillows like to the theater. Like the person next to me like just had like a full on blanket, and I know it gets like chilly in the movies and stuff, but like they're reclining and like setting up a pillow and a blanket, and I'm like, are you just like planning on falling asleep during the movie? Like, I don't know, that's just weird to me.
I think it became a thing because midnight showings were so popular that people were doing it for midnight showings. And they'd have those like marathon screenings of like, oh, the third movie in a trilogy is at midnight, so we're going to go and see the first 2 first. It's a big, so they bring blankets, pillows because it's a long haul, and it just normalized the idea, I guess, that you can take a blanket and a pillow to the movie theater and get comfortable.
I mean, it's just weird to me because it's like, oh, like if you're getting too comfortable, you're just gonna fall asleep, which is like not what you want to do. I will say for this one, I was so tired. I had trouble falling asleep the night before, and then I was like, what am I doing? Sometimes I get nervous. I'm like, oh, if I don't see this on Friday, then if we end up getting busy on like Saturday or Sunday, then I won't be able to see it. So I might as well go tonight. But I was like, man, I was fighting back the whatever, the sleepies, whatever you call it, but like for like the last like 20 minutes of the movie or so.
Yeah. All right, we should probably get into the spoilers and get really into the nitty gritty of the movie. Yeah, it's okay. To sum up the spoiler-free thoughts, it's okay. There's some good things. It's definitely much weaker than the first two. It's better than the third one. But it's mainly the characters that are the strength here more than anything else.
Yeah.
So
I think if you like the other entries, I think it's a perfectly fine movie to watch. I don't know if I'd say you have to rush out to theaters, but I mean, it's definitely something to check out, like, once it's available if you want. But yeah, it's perfectly fine.
yeah, it's kind of funny as well because I feel like Conjuring 1 came out, and in part maybe even inspired why we had such an era there for about a decade of like supernatural horror as the main horror movie that's being made. And now it feels like we're out of that era a little bit, and I'm kind of glad for that because a lot of those crappy supernatural horror movies were really getting on my nerves. It does kind of feel like this weird, like, I don't know, like just thing that's stuck around, like when everything else is kind of sort of died down. I mean, maybe they'll start doing more of it again. Having said that, all these different horror movies that have made money this year from Warner Brothers were all very different. The other, one was a vampire movie, one was a Final Destination movie, which is more silly and fun. And I don't want to spoil Weapons, but Weapons was built on mystery and ended up being about a certain thing. And it's like, okay, we can have variety, and arguably that's only better for making people. I think maybe what they're realizing, or at least Warner Brothers have realized this, is that if you make a half decent horror movie, the horror like community will show up for it. Other movie genres are like kind of struggling at the theaters. Like Naked Gun didn't do very well because comedies just do not bring people to the theater anymore. But
that was sad, yeah.
But horror movies, the horror fandom show up. If you get decent reviews or there's buzz about your horror movie, like people will show up, and that usually leads to casual showing up, and money is made. So
and it tends to be a genre where it's not like a superhero movie where it costs like $300 million to make or whatever.
Also true. It's a low budget genre by and large. Yeah. I mean, this is probably one of the more expensive ones just because it's got stars and it's like a franchise and everything else. But even this won't be anything close to what last Marvel movie would have cost. Yeah. So hey, all right. Spoilers for Conjuring Last Rites. You have been warned. We're going to get into the movie. So this movie opens with a flashback to 1964, which is when their daughter was born. And there was a little moment where I was like, are they doing de-aging CG business on the faces? Mm-hmm. And then I thought, maybe they're not. Maybe they're just, like, because it is different actors. But I think also at times it felt like they were doing, like, okay, they've got actors playing these roles who are younger, but they're maybe putting a little bit of, like, Patrick Wilson and Farmiga's faces onto their faces. There's a little bit of that going on as well, maybe. I don't know. But they do a whole thing where when she was pregnant with their daughter, Judy, and I was laughing actually, especially once they get to like when she's born and there's a couple of scenes with her as a kid before it jumps ahead to 1986. I was thinking, first of all, I bet this is not the same little girl actress from from Annabelle Comes Home and Conjuring 2, because I'm sure she's already grown up too much to do that. But I was laughing because I was like, how much of this stuff with the daughter was remotely planned before, and how much of it is just like, oh, we're going to do all this plot with her now because she's older and whatnot. But
honestly, I usually forget that they have a daughter.
Yeah, I mean, she was definitely, because she was effectively the lead character in Annabelle Comes Home, which is kind of funny.
Right, yeah.
But it feels like this movie, it doesn't contradict it, but it doesn't really acknowledge that she went through something on her own as a kid. It's like, obviously it talks about how she sees things like her mother does. She sees ghosts and she hears things and she feels things, but it doesn't really, I guess there's one small reference, I guess. There is one moment where someone says, do you like dolls? And she says, not really. And I guess that's kind of a little haha reference.
Yeah. I feel like they do kind of make it almost seem like Annabelle is her nemesis or something, because she does pop up a few times in this movie. And
that's true.
One time she really pops up, if you know what I mean.
Well, you mean that part where the writers clearly played Resident Evil Village with that scene with the big baby and thought, we can do that with Annabelle. Yeah, that scene.
Yeah.
No, you're right. They do kind of sell this idea that she has like this trauma with Annabelle. But the funny thing is, though, is I felt like that works even if you've not seen Annabelle Comes Home. That just kind of works as like, no, this is the creepy doll that's in that room. Because even in the second movie, when she's like seen that room, she's like, freaked out by that and the nun painting and whatever else.
I feel like they always have like little nods to her because I don't know. I guess if they just really like her, or if she was just kind of the breakout star from the first one. Even in like the subsequent films, like they'll always like show her or have like a little nod to her or something.
Yeah. I was thinking that you could very easily just never watch the third movie because I feel like there's like the daughter's set up in the second movie, as is a lot of the Warrens' relationship. But the third movie is very skippable. Like the 1, 2, and this one kind of feel like they could just be a trilogy, and you could just skip over the third one.
Oh, and it's kind of funny because the third one, I feel like they were trying to set up like the opposite versions of the Warrens because like maybe minor spoiler for the third one or whatever if you haven't seen it, but I assume most people have.
We're in the fourth movie of a franchise. Yeah. We're all talking about the previous entry.
But like they set up that there's like this witch that's like trying to like fight the Warrens or whatever, so it kind of felt like almost comic booky, like they're trying to give them like a arch nemesis, like a human one or something. But it seems like no one ended up really caring about it.
Yeah, we get cameos from the previous movies. We also get James Wan, I believe, has a cameo.
Yeah.
When we get to the wedding scene at the end, and there's characters from the other movies that the Warrens have helped are all there, and I'm like, oh, we're going all out nostalgia here for like the end of the Warrens like tenure. We're doing the whole callbacks because you know what? It's been 12 years since that first movie. It has been quite a stretch of time, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just watched them all this week, so it was like pretty fresh. But yeah, like if I hadn't seen them, it probably would have taken me a second to be like, oh wait, that's that person from that movie or whatever. But it was just making me laugh though, because I was just imagining, like, those families or whatever getting the wedding invitation and being like, oh honey, remember those exorcists that helped fight those demons in our house? Well, their daughter's getting married. Like,
I think we can only assume that they've kept in touch a little bit and maybe checked up on them over the years. But yeah, I mean, it was just to have a bunch of cameos. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah,
that's all it really was. Anyway, so yeah, the opening sets up that this haunted mirror, because there's always an item, right? So there's this haunted mirror with like 3 creepy babies carved into the wood at the top. Really freaks out young Lorraine, and then she goes into labor, and they go to the hospital.
Pregnant women should never touch a mirror.
No,
putting it out there.
Or do ghost hunting investigations, maybe.
I will say I did find it kind of frustrating that we just really never find out like what, because they're in an antique shop that this lady is saying it is the owner or whatever is saying it, it's haunted, and then in particular they're kind of drawn to this big creepy mirror, but then we just like never find out like what happens with them. Like they explain later on that they got so freaked out that they didn't never revisit it or anything, but it's like, I don't know, that as a movie though, it's not really like satisfying. I was like, okay, so what happened to that lady? And then I don't want to jump ahead too much, but I just feel like we never really like learn anything about this mirror or the demon that's inhabiting it, or why they have such like a hard on for the Warrens or anything, which I kind of bugged me a little bit.
Well, I think the hard on for the Warrens I can explain to a point. I think it's just down to the fact that it forms a connection with the baby in her womb, and it just wants Judy. Like, it's imprinted upon Judy, and it's been wanting her all this time. I think it's just, it doesn't really matter that it's the Warrens. It just matters that this pregnant woman happened to be there, and it was able to like imprint onto a new life, kind of thing.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, it just seems too simple, because it's just like all she did was just touch this mirror, and then it's like that causes this whole thing. Like, I don't know. It wasn't.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm not trying to defend it.
It just wasn't satisfying.
Yeah. I'm just giving you the facts, okay? I'm giving you the facts of the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said. To me, it didn't really feel like I guess, organic. Like, it just felt like you said, like, we need to have some type of creepy object. In this case, it's going to be a mirror. And yeah, I don't know. It just bugged me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was more just the retconning of, the daughter had something kind of, because the whole thing here, she's born, stillborn, and like they're holding her, and it's a sad scene in the dark because the power's out, and like the doctors are standing all sad and awkward because they don't know what to say, and they're just praying, and then after a minute, the baby starts crying. It's a miracle. She's alive. She was technically dead, but she's alive anyway. And I actually assumed in the moment that the demon kept her alive, but the rest of the movie doesn't go down that path. Like I thought it was going to be like, oh, the demon like used powers to bring her back to life because of, like, because I thought, oh, the big thing in the third act's going to be that Judy herself is the magic item. She's the supernatural totem. Oh, okay. Because and they're going to have to try and figure out a way to like save her but get rid of the demon, and that's going to be a challenge. And like, oh, do we have to like sacrifice her daughter, blah 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 blah. And they don't actually go down that path quite the same way. It actually does just seem in hindsight to be a miracle. Like it's almost more like the demon's the reason why she almost died, and then the power of prayer brought her back, kind of thing. I don't know.
I mean, these movies are like super churchy. So like
they are, yes.
So I don't put it past them, being like, oh, hey, look at this miracle, this God saved them thing.
Don't slam your desk, Tim.
Sorry.
No, I mean, it's weird though, because the demon wants her. The demon wants to possess her, so I don't know why the demon would want to kill her though. So so that part of it doesn't really make much sense to me, but whatever. We skip ahead to 1986. We're introduced to this family in Pennsylvania, right? Not West Philadelphia, born and raised, somewhere else in the state, where it doesn't matter, because only Philadelphia.
Pittston, I think, or something.
Pittston, yeah, not Pittsburgh. Yeah. People have heard of that place. No, Pittston. Yeah. And we meet the Smurls, which... What name? Like, I mean, maybe that's the family who were haunted at the time, but I'm like, it's like you looked at the Smurfs and went, let's make it harder to say. We'll call them the Smurls. But we're introduced to this family, and it's like a big family. You've got the mum and the dad. You've got two teenage daughters who immediately are fighting about stuff and hogging bathroom time. And you've got two little girls who are twins. And then also like the grandparents, the husband's parents are living with them as well. So there's a big household of family, and they're all getting together because the second teenager, Heather, I think her name is, she's got her thing in church, her confirmation.
Yeah.
I'm not religious. I have to piece this stuff together when they say it.
I'm not Catholic, but I did have like a lot of friends that were when I was growing up, and I always remember them talking about confirmation. I had no idea what it was.
Is this like the Christian version of a bar mitzvah? Is that what this is?
I guess so.
It's a lot more low key. Like I feel like whenever I see a bar mitzvah, they're on a chair and they're all like singing and holding them up. Here it's like you go up to a priest and they're like, "Peace be with you, my child. Have a cookie. Mm-hmm. Fuck off."
Yeah. If I had to guess, it's probably like when you become like an official member of the church or something. Like maybe like you were like rookie status up until then, and then you're like in the big leagues now.
It's like being knighted. You are now an Avenger. Welcome to the church. But anyway, that's why they're getting dressed up. They're having a day. They've bought her a cake. And her grandparents, which I'm sure the grandfather is going to feel guilty later because when it turns out this mirror is the reason why they're all been haunted. But they buy her this mirror. Immediately Heather thinks it looks creepy, but she acts nice about it. She's like, oh, it's great. But she clearly has this look in her eye of like, this is creepy as shit. Why did you buy me this? But yeah, then the first creepy thing that happens, other than the candle being blown out on its own and the cake, which comes back later, is the entire lighting fixture in the kitchen just falls out of the table and scares the shit out of everyone. And that's when the movie does the freeze frame thing, which I completely forgot these movies do that. But it's like freeze frame in 1986, blah, 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 blah. This happened. Conjuring Last Rites. Let's get going.
I like this stuff. I mean, again, I was perking up a bit because I was like, ooh, 1986, Pennsylvania. You got my attention. But I enjoyed the family. I think, you automatically get like, kind of, the vibes of, like you said, the two teenagers are kind of bickering, and then they have some unruly children running around, and then it feels like a very lively household with a lot of people in it. But it's you kind of see where it's going, and so I thought it was good setup and introducing the characters, and then the light falling down was like a nice little jump scare, and then I do like the the way they do the credits. It's always like big and over dramatic, and then like I like to have that kind of like whatever, I don't know what you call it. It's not really like chanting or whatever, but that kind of voice or whatever.
It's kind of chanty. It's like that.
So it works. I was into it.
Yeah, I think the family stuff I mostly quite like in the first half, which is why I was kind of sad that they just kind of get shoved to the side in the back half, because it really felt like the two teen girls were kind of the main characters, and like them talking about how creepy the mirror is in their bedroom, and like they're still bickering each other, and they're throwing little references out. They mentioned the Goonies at one point and stuff like that, but it's brought up in a way where the other sister's teasing her, because it's established by this point that her older sister's a little bit of a bitch to her, but they're still kind of friendly as well. They're very sisterly, right? And I thought they did a good job as well with just the time period stuff, like everyone's hair cuts and things like that. It felt very, as best as I can tell, because I wasn't quite born yet, but as best as I can tell, it did feel authentic to my eyes for the time period. So I mean, I enjoyed that stuff, and then they throw the mirror out and it gets taken in the trash, and you're like, oh, this can't end well.
It did kind of make me laugh, because it's like they're like, oh, let's just get rid of it, and I was like, I mean, I would not like that thing either, but it was a gift. Like, it's gonna be hard to explain if your grandparents are like, hey, how about that mirror? And you're just like, it's not, like, I think like, oh, we'll tell them the twins broke it or whatever, and I'm like, I don't know, like, it's just I don't know, it's weird. And also, I forgot to mention too, the mirror like does have like a big like crack on it, which is from where Lorraine touched it in the flashback. But that's like another thing. It's like kind of crappy. It's like, I mean, I'm sure they got like a good deal or whatever. They said the person just couldn't wait to get rid of it or whatever. But
I bet
it's like, but it's like you could have bought like a nice new mirror that's not cracked and everything.
Yeah, but they go, I mean, the person probably said, hey, $5, here you go, take this big antique mirror. Yeah. Practically free. Hey, I'll give you $5 if you take it away. Thank you. Bye-bye. I think the family stuff is well set up. The you got the mum who's over, like, kind of worked in the household dealing with the kids, and they do the whole thing with the phone card. I mean, this phone card's especially long. They were kind of taking the piss a little bit with how long this thing was, but they're doing the thing where she's got it on her ear, she's like making dinner, and like it's being tugged on, and the first time it's by the two girls, and they're she turns the light on in the closet and they're there holding it, and it's like, haha, you little terrors, the pair of you, off with you. But then they do the thing where it's being tugged on and it gets yanked away from her, and she's like, girls, you get right here right now. And then she sees the girls like run down the stairs on the left of the frame, and it's like, oh shit, what pulled on it? And there's nothing there, right? It's spooky. And I was like, okay, that's an okay bit. Maybe the highlights here is that the morning after they throw out the mirror, the older sister Dawn, as the mirror's being crushed which, by the way, maybe things have changed and maybe it's different in the US versus the UK. But the regular garbage people aren't going to just pick up a big thing, like a big giant antique mirror, and put it in their truck. You have to get specialist people to come and take stuff like that. If it's not in the bags in the bin, they ain't touching it. I don't know if that felt weird to you as well.
The only thing I guess maybe I thought was like, okay, because now we're used to everything is in the bin, and then basically just have like the claw or whatever comes down and grabs it and lifts it up and dumps it. But I was trying to think, like, I don't know, maybe that's a somewhat newer invention, like because at some point it probably was just people on the back of garbage trucks dumping the stuff in there. So
I mean, it's still that here, to be fair. I've never seen a claw on a truck here.
Well, you've seen Final Destination Bloodline.
Yes,
so you know.
I'm well aware that American garbage trucks have the claw that just picks them up, but there's still people. I mean, there's like a sort of elevator thing at the back of the garbage trucks here that they put the bins on. They're not like physically like lifting the bags themselves and throwing it in. I don't think, but not the claw. There's no claw.
Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe things were just a bit more lax back then. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It just popped in my head because you can't do that now here at the very least.
I thought about that too, because especially with us moving and stuff, like we have things that we're just like, we don't need this anymore, and there's certain stuff that's just like impossible to get rid of, and it's just like, for God's sakes, like, can we please just throw this away or find someone to take this? And yeah, especially like glass stuff tends to be kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah, but anyway, so the older teenage daughter starts coughing up glass, or she starts coughing up blood to begin with, and then starts coughing up glass whilst they're having breakfast, and that freaks them out, of course. And
There's some decent gore in it, like all the blood coming out and stuff.
Yeah, it's all right. And then of course, like the younger teenage daughter, Heather, the main one, if you will, the one who actually got the mirror as a gift. Like, she gets creeped out during the night, and she like goes downstairs and she puts in the videotape, because they did like emphasize that all of her stuff that day was being filmed on a camcorder, and she starts watching the footage, and we do the whole thing where she's watching intensely, and she's trying to like watch the candle go out, and she's like, you see like a flicker or something in the moment it gets blown out, and she keeps trying to pause it, but it's a VHS, so it's hard to pause it at the right moment, so she keeps going back, rewinding, trying to pause it at the right time, and keeps going back and forwards, and the whole time her reflections on the glass of the TV, and keeps getting closer and closer. I thought this was actually fairly well filmed. This was a good creepy visual, and then eventually she sees the face next to hers blowing out the candle, and it's like, okay, that's good. I was less enthused by the scary axe man chasing her around after this. There's like a ghost of a man with an axe, because you actually see an axe just sort of sitting in the table as if someone's just sort of stabbed it in there, and then the axe man comes out and starts chasing her around.
Yeah, and then I forget if we also see him briefly earlier when the mom goes down into the basement.
Yeah, I think, I'll be honest, I don't think that was him. I think that was so we find out later that this Axeman is one of 3 ghosts that we're kind of seeing. And they're not really here, or they're here, but they're not the ones haunting the place. The demon's just using the local ghosts as like puppets, effectively. Yeah. But there was a whole backstory that Lorraine kind of just gets psychically, which is this Axeman killed his wife and his mother-in-law in the basement. So I think that was the wife. The Axeman does have long hair though, so there was actually times when I legitimately confused the creepy lady ghost for the Axeman ghost.
Yeah, because there was I just thought that basement scene was kind of ridiculous, because I forget if like the lights go out or she just goes down when it's dark or whatever, but there's very clearly a person like in the corner there, and the mom gets very freaked out. And then she turns on the light, and it's just like, oh, it was just a poster of John Wayne or whatever. That
actually made me laugh. Like... I started laughing because I'm like, oh, the John Wayne's going to get you. John Wayne's coming for you.
But it just made me... I thought it was funny, though, because it was very obvious that there was, like, a person there. Like, it's like, you couldn't have mistaken that for a poster. Like, I mean, I'm sure... no one wants to think that there's a ghost or whatever, so you'll rationalize it. But to me, it's just like, no, there's very clearly a person there.
Visual trickery and whatnot, They want it to be obvious for the audience, so maybe that feels like it betrays what the character would actually be seeing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of the reverse of like when in Strangers Chapter 1, someone's in perfect silhouette, and like the people see silhouette, but you really should be able to see them because eyesight doesn't work quite like that. But hey.
That reminds me, with this movie, I finally saw a trailer for Chapter 2.
Oh, exciting.
I mean, I hate to say it, I'm a little bit intrigued.
Oh no, don't hype yourself up, Tim. That's a bad move. It's going to suck. It's going to suck.
I don't think it'll be good, but at least, the first one was just such a blatant, like, remake of the first movie or whatever. Like, this one's like, all right, well, at least they're doing something different. Okay, my spider sense started tingling. I was like, okay, What is it?
No, what are you talking about? Yeah. Can I just say, I just glanced over at the credits, and the actresses who play the teenage daughters of the family, like, one is called Bo Gadson, and then the other one is Keela Lord Cassidy. There's like two of the most made up sounding names I have ever seen in my life. But anyway, I digress. So basically, at this point in the family story, and I kind of like this. There's a dinner scene where the dad comes home and they're having an argument where the teen daughter's like, "Hey, can we go to a motel? This place is haunted. This is awful. We need to get out of there." And the dad is kind of like, not unreasonably, but just like, I mean, he's like, "Hey, there's 8 of us. We cannot afford a motel for 8 people. We just don't have that kind of money," which is a very reasonable response. But the daughter gets frustrated because it's like, "Hey, do you just not believe us because nothing's happened to you yet, right? Even though Maltivus, the mum saw something, both the teen daughters have had these incidents, they're all freaking out, they're literally scared of their own house. Do you just not, is it you don't believe us or you're just powerless?" And he doesn't really answer, and she gets pissed off and like storms away from the table, and it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, you know, obviously I hate the trope in movies where the husband or dad just doesn't believe what's happening, but this felt like a very kind of like realistic version of this where, you know, maybe he doesn't believe yet, maybe he does, but even if he does, like what are the options? Like, we can't all just like leave for 8 people and go to somewhere new. And I appreciated all this because when eventually, you know, like they mentioned that they've went to the church for help, they've kind of been ignored, no one's really paying attention, they go to the press, it turns into a bit of a media circus. I do appreciate all this build-up because when the Warrens do eventually end up here, and they don't even end up here because they know there's something to come deal with, they end up here, which we'll get to in their plot, but all of it makes me feel like, no, when the Warrens show up, I care about the family being helped. So if nothing else, the movie's achieved that. The movie's made me want this family to be helped and that they're kind of hopeless without the Warrens or someone like the Warrens coming in to help them. So I think that was all very effective, which is why I think that the movie then shoots itself in the foot a little bit by the family then being a non-factor. Once the Warrens are there and they have their initial meeting, the family basically fade into the background, and then the entire actual climax of the movie, the family are just outside the house. We occasionally cut to a reaction shot, but they're just not a part of it for the most part. And it's like, oh, they're not like the key parts of this anymore. Like, you did such a good job of like setting up a couple of these family members as main characters in one way or another, and then you just kind of like, no, they're just props. They're just like plot devices for the Warrens plot, and that's kind of a shame. Which is why I just sort of stuck with the family's plot there, because like you can get it all done,
yeah,
relatively quickly, you know.
Yeah, and it just feels like too story-wise, it's just like too convenient. It's like, oh, like, you know, the demons wanted the Warrens like all along. It's like they I don't have this like elaborate haunting, like however, you know, many miles and states away to like, you know, I mean, I guess they probably would have wanted to haunt this family anyway, but it's kind of like, oh, like they didn't even really care about them at all. Like they just really wanted the Warrens, and it just seems like too convenient.
Well, what they wanted Judy. I don't know if they really care about the actual Warrens. I think they just want Judy. And it's reaching out to Judy psychically, and Judy's like feeling all these scary things, which is obviously comes up in her plot, which I guess we're getting into. It establishes that the Warrens still give talks and things like that, but the theater hall is empty. There's like half a dozen people. No one really cares anymore. Who is there is just making jokes about Ghostbusters, since that now exists. So that kind of sets up where they are in life now.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a nice juxtaposition between the, you know, first movie when, you know, we first kind of see them, they're doing that lecture, and like, you know, they turn on the lights and it's just like this full auditorium, and it's like this time, you know, it's much smaller, and then they turn on the lights and just barely anyone there, and they're like making fun of them, and I thought it was like, you know, a decent scene.
Yeah, I mean, I think I liked their reaction to it, where they kind of like, you know, they kind of roll with it, they smile, and even at dinner afterwards when they're with their daughter, you know, like Patrick Wilson's character Ed complains a little bit, and he's like, you know, these kids today, you know, they just don't care anymore, and Lorraine's like, hey, they're just having fun. Like you know, she kind of like rolls with it and just kind of says it's not that big a deal. Like they're just, obviously they don't believe this. They're just enjoying the absurdity of it. And it felt like a kind of down-to-earth reaction. It kind of comes back to me saying that the characters are kind of the strongest element. And because you've got these actors playing the roles, it kind of works. They also set up here that Ed's still having heart problems and he has to like watch his diet and things like that. And, you know, which I did get a bit of a chuckle at the end of the scene where he's like, I wish I could have lasagna. Which felt, because there's a whole moment here because they've established in this movie that Judy's been seeing things since she's a child, right? And her mum taught her like a way to like sort of like tune it out and like say this little like, you know, rhyme to yourself, you know, get rid of it. Like they're not there, shut them out, run away from it. And the arc of the movie by the end is like, no, you can't run away from it. You have to embrace it. You have to face the darkness, blah, 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 right? But that's like, so, and this happens during the dinner scene where Judy sees something, she kind of freaks out, and she's sort of like whispering to herself, like the thing she says to like make them go away. Lorraine notices because she can also sense it. And then the end of the scene, Ed just sort of looks up and goes, you two okay? And they both just kind of say yes, but he's like, wish I could have lasagna. And it really, it was a funny line because it kind of felt like a heightened version of like when the guy is being clueless to something that all the women are getting. And here, obviously, it's a supernatural thing where they're both psychic or whatever, but it's kind of like he's just oblivious to it, even though you think he'd be more in tune with when his wife's having one of her, you know, supernatural episodes. He's just kind of like, oh, ha ha ha, I'm the man, I'm dumb, I don't know what's going on, kind of thing. But that's where I say that that's where the strength of the movie comes in, is like these characters are really well defined at this point. Admittedly, do we spend maybe too much time with, okay, the daughter's got a boyfriend, he's coming over on his birthday, and we're going to do the first meeting of him and the parents and him and the dad, and I'm feeling nervous about the dad, and you know, we spend a lot of time at that birthday party, Tim, don't we?
No, yeah, way too much time. It definitely turned into like meet the parents for a good like 20 or 30 minutes, which I mean, I don't mind a little bit of that stuff because again, it is very character focused, and you know, we like these actors, and you know, we've been with them for a while, and actually did enjoy the you know, the new actress that's playing Judy. Yeah, I thought she did a good job. The boyfriend / fiance or whatever, I can probably take or leave. I wouldn't say like I love the character, but
it was fine,
I also
though.
didn't like hate it.
Yeah, I think there was nothing wrong with him. He fills the role well enough, and it's really more about like Ed, like, you know, accepting that his daughter's growing up and that this is happening now. Mm-hmm. And there was some comedy where he comes to ask permission to like propose to her, and Lorraine's like kind of into it, and he's like, now wait a minute, you've only known her for 6 months, and he's you know, and there was a few laughs in that scene like throughout as he was kind of like reacting to sort of things, but then of course the daughter like catches him with the ring out, and so she's like, is that for me? And he kind of looks round at the parents, and like Ed just has to give a little nod to be like, okay, go on, just do it. Like, you've been caught red-handed now. And it's like, okay. And they do a whole thing with the backstory of the son-in-law, or the future son-in-law, which is that he was a cop briefly, but he quit. And they tease that early on, and we find out later on, Ed's asking him about it. He's like, hey, and this is when Ed's making pancakes for the family. And he's like, do you always make pancakes? And he gets very serious and goes, no, sometimes it's waffles, which also got a bit of a laugh. But he's like, hey, so why did you quit being a cop? And he basically tells a story about how he went to a domestic violence call, and some guy pointed a shotgun at him and took the shot. You know, it clicked, but it didn't go off. And they arrested the guy. But afterwards, the partner said, hey, like, I checked that shotgun. It was loaded. It just, you know, you had a misfire. You got lucky. You're a dead man. And I think they were trying to do a whole thing where because Judy should have died as well and kind of had this miracle where she got to live anyway, he also had this miracle. And it's like, hey, say, they're destined to, like, they're anomalies. And at a certain point, it's very clear that it's setting up. Judy has all the psychic powers her mum does. This new guy, Tony, is kind of going to become like, I mean, they literally do like him throwing the keys to him to the antique room with all the spooky shit at the end. They literally do the welcome to the family, son, and he throws the keys at him and accepting that here, you're a part of this now. You're going to be a ghost hunter, just like we were. So when I was joking before I saw it, they're going to do Next Generation because they want to do more Conjuring without the Warrens. But the end of this movie, they actually kind of set it up. They set up that we've got a new young couple who were the age they were when they started, and she's got psychic powers. He's there. He'll help. Like, he can be the head of the pair. He's got the keys and does the physical work, I guess. But, you know, yeah. I mean, I thought this stuff was perfectly fine and likable. It probably just took too much, because, like I say, you spend an hour of this movie, we're getting like bridal dress fittings where creepy stuff happens in the changing room. We're getting, you know, all this stuff. And it's not until that the priest that usually brought them cases, you know, the possession cases and stuff, it's not until he turns up dead, and we actually get to see all that. We'll talk about that, I suppose, in a minute. But like, it's not until he turns up dead and Judy goes to investigate where he was in Pennsylvania that the plots actually converge. But I was thinking early on, we're setting up both sides of this, but, you know, by 20 minutes in, we're going to like have the Warrens know about this case and they're going to be in on it. But no, it's like a full hour plus before they even get close to that house, which, on the one hand, like, okay, I appreciate you're not doing the exact same thing in structure as like the first two movies, because you shouldn't necessarily be trying to just copy those, like do your own thing for sure. But at the same time, from like a momentum, it almost feels a little indulgent in a way. It's like, hey, we want to do all this stuff, we want to spend all this time with Ed and Lorraine, but, you know, we're doing it, you know, it feels so separate for so much of the movie that it does feel a little bit like you can sort of clearly see why this got to 2 hours and 15 minutes. Like, you can see where extra 30-40 minutes came from, is that there's two different movies happening for the first, you know, 40 minutes or whatever it is. And then it gets to the rest of it, which, if anything, feels a little rushed at that point, because we've spent so much time before we get there that there's less stuff to actually do at the house with the family.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. Like, I think, like, story-wise, the stuff they're doing is fine, and you're introducing the new characters, and I don't have a problem with that. It's just, it felt like too much, and I don't know if you just cut it down a little bit, or maybe splice it up a bit more where, like, we're cutting back to the house, so where it, you know, it doesn't feel like it's just so completely off the radar now. Just something like that, I feel like would have been a bit more palatable, instead of just after a while I was like, okay, there's some fun stuff here, but I'm like itching to get back to the family and kind of the point of the movie now. I will say the you know, when they're going for the wedding dress fitting, I did think that was like another pretty effective set piece. So they have her, you know, trying on the dress, and she goes, you know, in this room by herself. Well, first she goes with the person at the dress shop, who I guess is also like an old friend of hers. And it's just like this room just filled with like tons of mirrors, and then the person gets a call and they have to leave, and then she's just by herself, and you kind of hear someone come in, and it was kind of funny because it was like, you know, before, like, the dress person was like under the dress checking, you know, some part of it or whatever, and then she had to leave, and then when she just comes in, like, you don't see her, but she just goes like right back under the dress, and like I don't know, like I would have already like just felt like something was off here, because it's just like, all right, why is my friend just immediately like going under the dress and not saying anything? But I thought it was like, you know, a pretty decent, like, you know, well done scene.
Well, you got to look up the dinosaurs' skirts to make sure they're all female.
Oh, sure.
That was a quality Jurassic Park reference. Don't give me that, Luke.
That's fine.
I mean, it's basically that scene that you get in other movies where there's someone under the bed sheets, right? It's basically that, but with a wedding dress instead of a bed sheet.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was okay. I didn't really like the creepy, like, duplicate of herself in the mirror smelling back at her. That was a lot more generic. At the end of the scene, you know?
Yeah.
The whole thing with the priest, though, which really gets the movie going into the next part, is he goes to the family, says that he sends, you know, he's like, he does some like holy water stuff, and it starts burning in the basement. He's like, oh, God, there's something here. The church will listen to me, I promise. And this entire sequence kind of annoyed me, because it felt like...
When he goes to the church, or before?
Yeah, well, when he goes to... I mean, the stuff in the house is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's when he goes to the church, because it kind of feels like, wait, what is the power levels of this demon? Because it feels like, because he goes to a location, he talks to a receptionist, and then he's waiting there, and then the receptionist just disappears as if she was like fake to begin with, and I'm like, wait, where is he? Right? Did he actually go to a building? Is there someone there? You know, what like, how much of this is just in his head? And therefore, if the demon is this powerful, if the demon can just like go to a different location with him and make him kill himself, then why the hell is it not just going for Judy like across the state lines? Exactly. You know, I don't. It feels weird to me.
Yeah, I did not care for this at all. First of all, I mean, I don't even remember his name, but I do like that priest guy. Like he just has like a good like old priest looking face, and yeah, it's just a weird scene because, like you said, it's just impossible to tell what's real, and it's like, okay, yeah, was there a receptionist there? If so, is she just like staring at him as he's like going and grabbing the vacuum cord or whatever he used to hang himself? And then if not, then like, yeah, where'd she disappear to? And just like, how powerful is this thing? And it just really doesn't make sense. Yeah, if it can do this, then why is it wasting its time doing anything else?
The problem is that it breaks. I mean, it's hard to say what the rules are in these movies, and that's kind of why I'm a little bit like less like, you know, supernatural movies really have to win me over, because like it does feel sometimes that there's no rules, and I don't like that when it comes to stuff like this. But this does feel like it breaks the fundamental rules of how the Conjuring movies usually work. Because normally it's like, no, it's stuff in the house, and the ghosts can obviously do stuff, the demons can do stuff in the house, they can make you see things there and whatnot. But the idea that it completely warps this guy's reality or perception of reality when he's like miles away at this point, it just feels like, oh, so it can just do anything then, and that like immediately just takes me out of it, because I'm like, well, if it can just do anything, then why should I trust anything else that I'm seeing? Like, why does it need anything? I don't know, it waters everything down for me. So clearly they just thought, oh, this will be a cool creepy scene, but like, I'm like, yeah, but at the expense of like it making sense with anything else for me. So, and
then I also thought it was kind of weird, like you know, later they show a funeral for him, and like, you know, the Warrens and Judy and everyone are there, but I don't know, did it seem like did they not know like how he died? Because I feel like they would immediately like want to investigate, like you know, where he did it and stuff. Like, you know, it's up to Judy, who, again, like, weird dumb movie thing where she just goes by herself.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, but you're right. No one at the funeral seems to like bring up like, that's not like Father Gordon. I don't think he would kill himself. Like, no one says that. No one says, oh, was he depressed? Like, you know, what's going on?
Well, especially if you're in a business where like you fight demons, and demons can make you do uncharacteristic things to harm yourself. And he had just like went to him probably like a few days ago or whatever, and mentioned that there was this haunting, which I don't think he said he was gonna check it out to them. But again, no, that's a weird movie logic thing where it's like, well, he should be like, all right, well, I'm gonna go check it out anyway and see. But yeah, it just seems like they would have been a lot more suspicious, or you know, felt like they had to do something without, and you know, instead they have to have like Judy go do her thing. Yeah,
Judy basically just goes on her own, and we don't really see her go there. We just sort of see Tony, the boyfriend, come over and say, hey, Judy's gone. And by this point, Lorraine's having visions and saying, oh, something's wrong with Judy, Judy's in trouble. And they basically just go to where she is, and they find the media circus, and they come in, and like, and Judy's already speaking to the family, and they're like, okay, Judy, we're going to go. And Judy's the one that stands her ground and says, no, we have to help these people. This is what you do. We should help them. And it's like, okay. And well, it's actually something as well that kind of bugged me, is that they set up early on that Ed's got heart problems, and you know, he has to watch what he's eating and all that, and it's why they're not doing what they're doing used to do, because it's too strenuous on him. And it's like, okay, I'm fine with that as a setup, and they even show him getting out of breath when he's playing ping pong. There's a whole ping pong scene with the son-in-law, all right, and he gets a little bit, you know, weak at the end of, and it's like, hey, calm down. And they do like a bunch of stuff during the third act where he's basically like reaching for his pills, having palpitations, and he's clearly bordering on a heart attack or something. And it kind of feels like he's just fine at the end with no repercussions. And I'm like, if you're going to like show him clutch his chest and go down to the ground, I feel like you can't just like pretend that, oh, it was just a momentary thing, he's fine. Like, I don't know, you laid it on so thick that this is like a danger throughout the movie. It just felt really weird, like, oh, it had no consequences. Like, you teased it a couple times for tension, but nothing came of it, so never mind.
And I could be wrong, but I feel like in the trailer for the movie, there was something where they talked about, like, you know, like, or I forget if it was like maybe the trailer or synopsis or something, but I feel like I saw something where they're trying to sell it as like, oh, this was their last case because it was like tearing their family apart or whatever, blah blah. But like, I don't know, it never really seemed like the family like was that like on a different page, you know? Like, again, maybe there's a little bit of like Judy being like, oh no, we should help him, and they're like, oh no, at first, but it's not because they fundamentally disagree with it. It's because like, oh, it's your father's heart, but then they're pretty quickly on board. So I don't know, that's just a weird thing. Like, I kind of kept expecting it was gonna like cause some, like a split between the parents and the daughter, or the daughter and the fiance, or whatever, but nothing like that ever really happened.
No, and they're closer by the end than they've ever been. So I wouldn't say that this tore them apart at all. It brought them closer together, if anything.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much I was like, this is their last case, and find out why. But then by the end of the movie, it seems like, well, no, it seems like you're kind of a big family now that are like, hey, like if anything, we got more people that can kind of help out, and like Ed can become like the guy in the chair or whatever, while everyone else does the on ground investigation or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, going back to my disappointment that the family gets sidetracked, is that the ones that we got to know barely interact with, like, any of the Warrens. Like, the two teen daughters, like, basically they just look sad and scared when they come in, so that they feel, sorry for them, and they have to be like, all right, fine, I guess we're staying. That's good.
And like you said, the movie starts, like, kind of setting them up like they're going to be the main characters. And
absolutely, yeah. Because even when they pull out the tape recorder and they're like, all right, let's hear your story, let's find out what happened here, I think it's the parents who are talking to them. It's not the teens, I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm misremembering that. But, but from here, honestly, like, the one bit of excitement here for me was that, okay, the Warrens don't know about the mirror yet, because presumably as soon as Lorraine sees that thing, she's going to freak out and know exactly, oh, this is something from her past, this is, our big thing come back to haunt us, blah, 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 this is the one we ran away from, we're paying for it now, all that usual stuff. And it's kind of wild to me that Judy's the one that finds it in the attic, and it's like, oh, she feels all these things, big Annabelle chases her, like Annabelle grows to like, like 12 foot tall and is coming down the hallway. They clearly love the idea of that visual, and it's like, I think it's kind of fun of an idea, but I think it lasts like 10 seconds and it's just for a couple of quick scares. I think an actual scene where she's being chased by a giant Annabelle, where they actually have to like have her get away from her, would be way more interesting and fun. Like, you'd actually be using it in a sequence as opposed to just like a quick, I don't know, visual like feast, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know, it kind of feels like something from a different movie, like, because it is very silly, but in a way that I think could be fun. But the movies aren't really fun usually. They're a bit more serious and feeling like they're so life-threatening and scary and everything. So I mean, I don't hate that it's there. Like, I kind of like the how wild it is, but it definitely doesn't feel like they went as far with it as it could have.
Yeah, it just feels like they could have done something more with it rather than just being something that she sees for 5 seconds and then that's it over. But then it's like, oh, now she knows about the mirror, the Warrens see it, and it feels like at that point all of the interesting stuff the story had to offer kind of goes away, because everything after this point, like, there's a little bit of atmosphere, when they're trying to take the mirror out of the house and like the lightning's flashing, the power's going out, and it's raining outside. Like, it does feel like there's a bit of an atmosphere and spectacle to it. But ultimately, a lot of what's going on is like Judy seeing something creepy, Lorraine seeing something creepy, like, you know, the dad of the family and Ed are like carrying the mirror, and the mirror's like the cover on it's like going away, and it's like, don't look into the mirror. And it's weird because I feel like up until this point, this idea of like, if you look into the mirror, something bad will happen, I don't think that was ever really a thing in the movie, but up until that point. But all of a sudden, Ed's like, don't look into the mirror, don't look into the mirror, and he does, but he freaks out, he sees something, and he falls, he hurts his leg, and it's a whole thing. The big thing though is really that Judy gets possessed. Like, the demon gets to Judy, goes into her, and she walks around with a creepy smell on her face. She's now the evil, and like the Warrens are like, no, Judy, look at me, and then even the fiance is like, look at me, and all the rest of it. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to say about the showdown. You know, no. it kind of turns into this whole thing where they're all pushing against the mirror, and it's like coming at them. Like, obviously everything works out. Obviously they defeat it. Like, even though the Bible starts getting set on fire, Ed just keeps saying generic biblical stuff, you know, power of God protects us, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of feels like we're just counting down till the ending, you know, versus like the, you know, first two movies where it feels like this very big emotional climax where, you know, like everything feels very high stakes, and you know, we're fighting for the souls of these people, and they're facing these demons. And here it just kind of felt more like, all right, I'm just kind of waiting for the movie to end.
I mean, I remember the moment where like Lorraine has Judy, and she's like, okay, you know what? My advice was terrible. We can't shut it out. They are there. We have to face it. We can't run. That's ultimately kind of the moment where they defeat the demon. I don't actually remember how Judy becomes unpossessed. I actually have forgotten that, and I just saw it earlier today. I don't remember what triggers her back to being normal again.
Yeah, I remember like they go in the attic and she's, you know, hanging from the rope.
That's right. That's right. She goes up to. Yeah. She goes up. Yeah, they find her killing herself, which is really what the demon wanted Judy all this time, just to do this.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, and they have to like grab her, and they end up all falling through the roof. But I think when she wakes up, because they do CPR for a while, it seems like she's dead, just like when she was a baby. And then she wakes up, and yeah, I think she's normal by that point. So you're right. It says a lot that I forgot about the whole hanging part. Like, I just completely that just left my brain entirely. And as soon as they leave the house, as soon as it's all over and they're leaving the house, we get the text saying, oh, the family stayed here for 3 more years, then moved on. And I'm like, oh, that's it. That's all we're getting of the family, is this one paragraph. And then, you know, wedding happens. We get our cameos from a bunch of people. And Ed literally passes the torch, or the keys in this case, to Tony. And he's like, hey, welcome to the family, son. That's actually before the wedding, now I think about it, but it doesn't really matter. The point is that it's like, hey, at the wedding, Lorraine basically says, I had a vision of the rest of our lives, Ed, and just describes a happy ending for everyone. Like, hey, we have grandkids, and we're happy, and life is content, and, you know, we help people over the phone, but we're done investigating, blah, 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 blah. It's all a bit saccharine.
No one ever finds any dirt on us, or has any reason to believe that we're anything less than honest, good-working people.
Yes. I mean, I think it's a little saccharine. It feels like, okay, we want to give this pair a send-off, and that's nice enough, but it feels like it does that comic book thing when a writer's finishing their comic book run, so they do this little, and here's like, you know, the end of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, and here's the legend of Hal Jordan from here on. I'm like, yeah, but there's going to be lots more Hal Jordan for like in all the other comics. Like, it feels like a kind of by the numbers attempt to make it feel like a send-off for them. And it's perfectly fine.
I think maybe I wouldn't have minded as much if the previous showdown and the stuff with the family, if that was all handled a bit better, then this could have been like the little bit of all right, yeah, you just gave us our nice big showdown and climax and everything, and now you want to do your little happy ending, or that's fine. But yeah, at that point, I was just kind of like done with the movie. I was like, yeah, I don't really care.
All right, Tim, what are you going to rate The Conjuring Last Rites?
So real quick, I said I was going to talk about some of quote unquote real life
Oh,
story
sure,
behind
On you
the
go
haunting,
for it.
which I mean, there's really not much to say. Like, I didn't. It's not like I did a ton of research. I just like I was intrigued by it, so I listened to like one like YouTube video and saw like an article someone posted about it. But again, it just makes me laugh because it's just barely unrecognizable when you look at like what's in the actual movie. So that you know, there was a family, so that part is true, and the amount of people in the family seems to be accurate. But the thing that's kind of interesting is like there was no mirror or anything, so all that stuff is just like already not the same as a movie. It's basically just like they're in the house and haunting stuff starts happening, and it seems to have gone on for a while. I think they said like over the span of like 10 years or so, but there was stuff that did seem to track with the movie. Like they talked about having a light fall on the dinner table, and they did mention something where I forget if it was the Warrens or someone else that mentioned, oh, there's like 3 spirits in here, a guy that murdered his wife and mother-in-law and stuff. So all that stuff is the same. But again, it's just kind of funny because when you read the actual stories, it's usually when you get to the part with the Warrens, it's usually just like, yeah, they came to the house and was like, oh wow, like it's pretty haunted here. You should call like a priest and have them do an exorcism. Like that's usually the extent of their involvement. Like, but then when you watch the movie, it's like, they're like, stand back, we're gonna save your life now. Like, let us battle this demon. And there's like nothing like that here. Yeah, I mean, that's essentially it. Like, there wasn't anything like, I guess it was interesting enough story when I was like reading up on it, but there wasn't anything like super crazy about it. It was just kind of typical haunting stuff where people were like, oh, like someone would like touch them or something, or they'd hear a voice and they'd look over and there's nothing there. But yeah, I thought that was interesting enough. All right, so for my rating, I don't know if this is maybe a smidge too high, but I don't know. I was kind of thinking of just going right down the middle and giving it a 5. Yeah, because again, like I really don't think it's bad. There's like a few pretty decent set pieces. It's easily the best movie that this director has done. It's a huge step up from the third Conjuring, and then I much more prefer it than the other spin-offs that he did. Again, I said like there's some weird stuff when you're looking at like the real life characters versus this, but I mean I still enjoy seeing the actors and stuff on screen, and it was a nice send off to them, albeit a bit maybe touching on the corny side, but I mean the movies have always been kind of corny. And I like some of the new characters that came they I mean not really new, well I guess like the boyfriend's new, but you know what I mean. Most of the stuff was like it was never operating on a level that was that bad. Maybe a few things here or there are kind of generic. I didn't really care too much for the looks of the ghosts. We don't see them a ton, but they did seem like a little generic and stuff where they're just kind of trying to be like overly creepy or whatnot. But
it's a hand round the corner over the sheet, or and a smiling face kind of thing. It's all pretty typical stuff on that front.
Yeah. But at least it's never like doing something that's like egregiously bad or whatever. Like I do think there's some easy things you could have fixed with it. Like I do think it was just way too long, but mix some stuff out, cut some of the long stretches of things with the Warrens, get the family a bit more involved, and yeah, I think it could have been a lot better. But again, it's not a hard watch. It wasn't horrible, so it's kind of just right down the middle for me, where it's just 5, where it's like, yeah, it was okay, but which again is surprising because going in, I did not really have very high hopes or anything.
Yeah, I think in the first half of the movie, when it was like doing more stuff with the family, and it was like the the discovery that there's a haunting, and the teen girls kind of like starting to like figure things out, and they had some decent chemistry, I thought, as sisters. I was thinking, oh, this is all right. Like, this is maybe like a 6 or something like that. Like, maybe even nudging a bit higher. But the back half definitely, with the family being shut out a bit more, it more focusing on kind of like this retcon past that they've put in for the daughters, like births and all that. That was definitely weaker to me, and I do think a lot of the, something scary's there, jump scare stuff is kind of mediocre. So, I think I agree with the 5. I think it's watchable. It's not that bad. It's okay. It's not that good either. But it's this kind of weird thing where it's not like everything in the movie's a 5 out of 10. There's things in the movie that I do like. There's like scenes or characters that I think are good, and then there's other things that I think are bad, and direction that I think is bad, and it just kind of evens out to a 5. Because sometimes when you give a movie a 5, it's just because it's so middling in every aspect. This isn't that. Yeah. This is a movie that's up and down with a lot of different things, and then you get like averaging a 5 by the end. But I agree with the 5. It's it's okay. It definitely could have been worse. And the third Conjuring was already better than the spin-offs he did, so this is another step up, I guess. But I suspect that was more just because the script had characters that were not. Because that's why the problem with those spin-offs is that the characters are just like, they just don't give a shit about anything that's going on. It's terrible. So yeah, there you go. That's Conjuring Last Rites, and I doubt it'll be that long before Warner Brothers announce Conjuring Rebirth, the Conjuring what's the Resurrection. They'll go something biblical. Yeah. They'll do something, but I suspect that's going to happen. Anyway, as for next time on Screams After Midnight, assuming all goes to plan, we've got our theatre release for next week, and that should be The Long Walk, based on the Stephen King story, which I have had the trailer for in front of every movie I have seen in the last 2 months. So even if the movie sucks, I'll be delighted to never see that trailer again. But I actually think the premise is quite interesting. I'm game.
Yeah, I think it's been getting some pretty positive reviews, so
that's good. Yeah. Here's hoping for the best, but that's what we're doing next week on the show. Of course, you can support us over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and get some bonus stuff. We do an even more stream segment most weeks. This week, we did a comparison to the years 2013 versus 1986 for horror movies. Why? It loosely connects to this movie. Don't worry about it. Just go and have fun. And we're going to have another bonus episode soon. There's a whole back catalogue of bonus episodes as well for you to enjoy on there. But you can access all that stuff either via Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Thanks to everyone who already supports us. And that is the show. So we'll see you next time. Keep watching scary movies. Goodbye.